Welcome to the Cohn Zone. I'm Grant Cohn. That's Lowell Cohn. We were planning for this show this morning, and my dad was saying, let's wait until 1 o'clock. The Niners could trade for someone. I was like, I guess we could, but I doubt they're going to make a move. Thank goodness they did. Now we have something to talk about. Thank you, 49ers. If you missed it, the 49ers traded Jeff Wilson Jr. to the Miami Dolphins for a fifth-round pick. Jeff Wilson Jr. gets to reunite with Mike McDaniel and Raheem Mostert, and that team is 5-3. What do you think of this trade?
Okay, how about the word appalled? Appalled.
Yeah.
What was going to happen is about 20 minutes to 1, I called Iggy just to make sure. He sent me the link for this, and I was going to say, we can praise the Niners for not trading Jeff Wilson Jr. And before I had said a word, Iggy said, "Did you hear? They traded Jeff Wilson Jr." So that changed my whole attitude. Let me say this. The Niners have really good running backs. This CMC, oh my God, he's great. I love him. I was so enraptured by what he did on Sunday. And I know that Elijah Mitchell is coming back. I got it. So probably Jeff Wilson Jr. would be the third running back. But I want to say a couple of things. Jeff Wilson Jr. is a hell of a running back, Iggy.
Yeah.
He's really good. I mean, he breaks off long runs. He's a power back through the middle. He's a power back at the goal line. I think I'm right about that.
It's a good receiver, too. Not Christian McCaffrey good, but a good receiver.
Yeah, he's a really good. So first of all, a fifth-round draft pick for him? No way. He was better than that.
Great trade for Miami.
Great for Miami. The other thing is, and I'm sure you're going to get into this, McCaffrey is very good, but he's been injured, and he's built up a little body.
Right.
I don't know what's going to happen with him. And Elijah Mitchell is coming off a serious injury, and you don't know if he'll be Elijah Mitchell or if he'll get hurt again. I'm a conservative personality. I would have held on to Jeff Wilson Jr. because it's a third back of quality, and it gives Jimmy more options. So, and for what they got for him, I don't like this in the least. What about you?
Well, I'm sure what John Lynch would say, because he's so diplomatic, is he would say, we're doing Jeff Wilson Jr. a favor. He's too good to be a third-string running back, and we don't want to bury him on the depth chart. He's in a contract year. We want him to go and flourish. So they're so pro-player. They're doing the Jeff Wilson a favor and the Dolphins. The Niners have to face the Dolphins in a few weeks.
That's true.
Just saying. Anyway, this is quite interesting. And I know the Niners think they're so confident because Christian McCaffrey had such a great game and Elijah Mitchell's coming back, but they haven't been able to keep any of their running backs healthy. And if one of those two guys goes down, they're going to regret this trade because they didn't get that much for him.
Iggy, I don't think Jeff Wilson Jr. was extra. I think he was important. You don't want to overuse CMC. You don't want to overuse Mitchell because he's coming back. This is a guy who would have played in a rotation. Or I'm going to say could take over certain games. I've seen him do it this season. And it's, you're imputing words to Lynch, who's a good guy. We're doing him a favor. If that's what Lynch would ever say, it's baloney. They don't do anybody favors. The favors they do are for themselves. It's business. There's no such thing as a good heart when it comes to trading. They're not doing him or the Miami Dolphins any favors. They thought this was good for them. So I humbly disagree.
Right. And they're being generous and philanthropic. They lost the trade. Miami won the trade. This is a phenomenal trade for Miami. They get a running back who's averaging 5.1 yards per carry for a fifth-round pick. And yes, Christian McCaffrey is really, really good, but both of us didn't like the trade for Christian McCaffrey, and the reason is because it was so expensive. If you're going to acquire a running back at the trade deadline, this is how you do it. You can get one for pretty cheap, and you can get a really good one. Good for the Miami Dolphins. And it's interesting. Mike McDaniel was here with the Niners. He goes to Miami, takes the two running backs the Niners never really appreciated. And now the Niners, they've upgraded at running back, but at what cost to upgrade from Mostert and Jeff Wilson Jr., who they went to the Super Bowl with?
That's right. It's very interesting.
It's a Super Bowl backfield.
You know, Mike McDaniel, a couple of things. I've never met him, of course. He strikes me as shrewd, cunning, heartless. heartless in the
Definitely
way
heartless. Definitely heartless.
heartless, and no lingering loyalty to the 49ers. His
Nope.
attitude toward them is screw you.
You know what the best thing about Mike McDaniel? One of the things I like the most. So the 49ers traded 3 first-round picks for Trey Lance. You know who that trade was with? Miami. Okay? So Mike McDaniel was with the Niners when they made this trade. Who knows how he felt about the Trey Lance trade? No one asked him. It's above his pay grade. He leaves 1 year later and goes to Miami. So he benefits from the trade. Isn't that great?
I got it.
He has the Niners first-round picks the next 2 years. No, the next year. Because he's already spent. But yeah, the next year and this year.
Well,
Great.
thank you, Kyle and John. That's
Absolutely.
what he's thinking, right?
Yeah, I mean, Kyle and John keep really helping Mike McDaniel and the Dolphins. They must love the Dolphins.
And they must love Mike.
They're such great people on the 49ers. They're competitors, but at the same time, it's all about the humanity and the relationships along the way.
I got some questions about Jeff Wilson Jr.
Sure.
2 questions. Because he's gone, we want to wish you all the best, and we think you should still be here. Tell me what you like about him as a running back, and tell me what he's like as a guy.
Jeff Wilson Jr. is one of the most violent, hard-running running backs I've ever seen. He has zero fear on the field. He's about 205 pounds. He runs like he's 240. But at the same time, he's really fat. He breaks away from defenses routinely. Like, for example, like Christian McCaffrey is probably shiftier and quicker than Jeff Wilson Jr. and probably would average more yards before contact than Jeff Wilson Jr. But after contact, I'll take Jeff Wilson Jr. I mean, he breaks tackles. He hurts people. He's so vicious after with the ball in his hands that I think sometimes it leads to injuries for him and fumbles. Although he didn't fumble a ton. He just fumbled a couple times this year. But he's fun to watch in a different way than McCaffrey. McCaffrey's fun because he makes people look stupid. He makes people miss. Jeff Wilson Jr. isn't really trying to make you miss. He was running right through your face, which is a lot of fun to watch too.
McCaffrey fumbled already in his first game with the Niners.
And he dropped a pass that was almost a fumble, but they had to review it. Yep, absolutely.
Iggy, what is Jeff? Because he's gone. He's out of our world now. What is he like as a person?
He's one of these undrafted free agents that you love. I mean, he's one of the people in the locker room that's down to earth and like you. You can kind of tell that he's gets a kick out of just being there. I mean, he was not even a big deal in college. I think he went to like Texas something. They were trying to replace him even there. He was an undrafted guy who's been cut a lot of times by the Niners. And the fact that he persevered, he's one of the players that you respect. To me, I have deep admiration for players like that. Not that I don't respect the first-round picks, too. Those guys are special players who've been special every step of the way of their lives. These guys are the ones that bet on themselves, didn't have a huge entourage, and overcame the odds, like Nick Mullins and guys like that. And Ross Dwelly, although Jeff Wilson's probably the best of all of them because he turned into being a quality starter when he was a practice squad guy. I love that.
And he knew clearly that the Niners were probably going to get rid of him. Yeah. And I think his attitude was, watch what I can do. Look what you're going to lose by not having me.
And don't you respect someone like that? He should have that attitude.
I do. And as you know, in life, I believe talent is important, but perseverance is more important. I know a lot of writers who maybe are more talented than I am, but didn't have the perseverance that I have, that you have, and they fell by the wayside.
Yeah, well, this guy has the perseverance.
I got to follow up one more thing. Of course, you haven't met McCaffrey many times, and we didn't know him at Stanford. What does he seem like when he meets the media? What is his personality like?
He seems like he's not showing it. He seems like he's very well prepared and rehearsed. And so what he shows is intensity, locked in, eye contact, no personality. And I don't mean that as a dig. He's just not showing that. And he's not being rude. He's not being condescending. He just is a little bit of a robot right now. And maybe that's his football persona. I'm so locked in. I'm a machine. He's a machine when he talks. So hopefully he kind of calms down a little bit. He's about 26 years old, and there's a lot of pressure on him. He just got brought in here for a lot of picks, so maybe he feels like he has to be perfect right now, or he's just a robot.
His dad was in the league.
Right. So he's probably been practicing how to talk to the press since he was 2 years old, right?
Exactly. Yes. And my guess is with someone like that, you don't see his personality. He's professional, he's polite, And that's really all you can expect.
Yeah, he doesn't owe us more than that.
No, he doesn't.
No.
But I do think there were people that I knew, like Ronnie Lott or Steve Young, or even Joe Montana in his way, where you got to actually know them. Brent Jones, you really knew.
Jimmy Ward.
Jimmy Ward, God love him. And it's a different approach. Jimmy Ward has a twinkle, and you can relate to him person to person. I have a feeling no one in the media will ever relate to McCaffrey like that. And it's his prerogative as long as he's polite.
I think it goes position by position. We always talk about the different personalities of positions. With DBs, I think they kind of have to call attention to themselves. With Jimmy Ward, I'd like to ask him about this. He never did. He never talked about how good he was, and no one gave him any credit. Then Richard Sherman came here, and Richard Sherman's like the Muhammad Ali of DBs. Like, he's all about, I'm great, no one gives me enough credit, and that led to him getting a bunch of All-Pros and probably a Hall of Fame career. I think Jimmy Ward saw him doing that and was like, man, I should do the same thing. I wonder if he even talked to Richard Sherman about it. Running backs, I mean, you get the ball all the time, you score touchdowns, you get yards, you get accolades. I think you don't necessarily need to call as much attention to yourself.
Interesting. I got it. Anyway, I think we could end this segment by saying, at least let me say, I never met you, Jeff. Boy, did I enjoy watching you play. I wish you all the best, and I wish you success in Miami.
I wish you success in Miami, too. Callie Tremor says, Niners been all over the place with their decision-making. I hope that they pan out. We do need the extra bodies at running back if Kyle isn't going to play the rookie running backs. Hopefully Mason will now get his chance.
Forget it.
Forget about it. They need McCaffrey and Mitchell to stay healthy. That's where they're at. Josh says, I'm no expert, but I think we could have pushed for at least a 4th-round pick.
Yeah.
No, again, they're just trying to be nice. This is a nice organization. They're trading with class.
And you know what? I think the niceness starts with Jed.
Yeah, it does. He sets the tone there because he's just such a genuinely nice person.
Yeah.
James Hennessy says, do you think only Miami would trade for him? Interesting question. The Rams could use a running back too, but they're so awful. Maybe they feel like a running back can't save their season.
I don't know what's going on in the rest of the league. Forgive me, but I think that you could put Jeff Wilson Jr. on most teams and he would upgrade their running back core. Agree.
Richard G. Personal Touch Detailing says, always great watching you and your pops. The Miami 49ers are looking stronger. Wouldn't you think? They're 5-3, and they're going to play each other this year. I think that's going to be a very interesting game. Look, the Niners are really talented, but the Dolphins have the number 1 ranked quarterback in the league in Tua Tagovailoa, and he's not even that good. That's a testament to their coach. Interesting comparison.
We're going to talk about the Niners schedule in a bit.
Yes, we will. James Hennessy says, do you think Miami called first or the Niners called first?
I don't know how that
hard
works.
To say. I don't think it really matters. I mean, once the Niners traded for McCaffrey, I think it was pretty clear that Wilson was available. He wasn't going to be happy, and they didn't need him, so probably they didn't need the headache. Probably pretty obvious. Maybe they trust in J.P. Mason. Maybe. It'd be nice if they did because I think he's pretty good. But maybe we'll see. Maybe that's a post-bye week thing. They don't. We already know they don't. Chris Holt says, Grant, you really had a good run there, but you're right back at it. You really can't see the value in this trade. Both of you unreal. 3 running backs. Elaborate.
We already did. Let's move on.
Yeah, I mean, they made themselves worse for a 5th-round pick next year. You're in a Super Bowl run. Now you're thinking about the future, too. John Hawk says, isn't this a sign in their belief in Mason? No. We've been clamoring for him, and this seems good for us. Him, no. It's a belief in –
played him.
Yeah, it's a belief in their ability to keep Christian McCaffrey and Elijah Mitchell healthy.
You know what our problem is, Iggy?
We're negative. We're haters. We're haters. Dark Halo 2 times says Miami used SF picks for Tyreek, Chubb, and Waddle. Is that right? They're smart. Good. Official BNA Music 88 says Wilson is also team no blue check. He's certified. Ooh, I like that. Do you see now that to be certified on Twitter, you have to pay $8 a month?
I wouldn't do it.
That's a real waste of money.
Iggy, I think I'm certified.
Yeah, not anymore. Well, you will, but pretty soon you're going to have to pay.
Then I'll drop out of Twitter. What do I need it?
Yeah, what do you need it? I think Mason should get at least a chance in the rotation. I'll tell Kyle. I'll tell him.
And
I'll do the best I can. He'll listen to me. All right. Before we get into the Niners' schedule, I want to talk about Jimmy Garoppolo because I only ever criticize Jimmy Garoppolo. And when he has a bad game, I'm very harsh on him. But he played well last week, and he's had some good games this year. And I think it would be informative just to take a step back at the bye week and look at what he's done this year. So what's your impression of him before looking at stats? What's your impression of what Jimmy's done this year?
Okay, so but we will look at stats.
Yes, we will.
Okay. When Jimmy is bad, Jimmy, and he does bad things, I'm very down on him. Because I grew up in a way with 49ers having some of the greatest quarterbacks of all time.
Right.
And so that's my standard, and that's the 49ers standard. And judged by that standard, Jimmy is serviceable.
Not good enough. He falls short.
He falls short.
Yeah.
So I say that as context.
He's never going to be Steve Young or Joe
No.
Montana. It's never going to happen. No.
No, he might never be Jeff Garcia.
Correct.
Okay. But there are things I like about him. First of all, he really has guts. He really does. And when things go bad for him, he doesn't let it get him down. He perseveres. And it's something I tremendously admire.
When you say guts, in terms of
He stands in and takes hits you wouldn't believe.
That's true. He'll also throw balls into very tight windows, as opposed to Alex Smith when 10 years ago, and he would be like,
no, Alex
can't
wouldn't
throw that.
do it. So I like
throwing that. Yeah.
He's more of a risk taker, and you need to. Alex was not enough of a risk taker. Although
he wasn't enough. He got better when he left the Niners when he played with Andy Reid. He figured it out. But yeah, you're right.
Oh, but I also mean he has guts. He'll play if he's hurt, and he takes some shots. He'll stand there and throw the ball. There's not everybody who can do that. So I admire that about him. Within his limited scope as a quarterback, meaning he's really not good on the deep pass. That's why they had Christian McCaffrey throw the deep ball. He's not that good at it. We know he's not that good outside the numbers. Yeah. But in his area, he's excellent. I'd say in his area, he's excellent. And
his little tennis court? Yeah.
Yeah, his little tennis court.
Yeah.
Here's what I want to say.
Yeah.
He's not a quarterback who'll take the 49ers on his back and win, but he has tremendous weapons. I think the limitation this season more than him is Kyle and his play calling. And I think people out there should watch Kurt Warner's video, 30 minutes. And he does criticize Jimmy, but he also praises him. But boy, does he go after Kyle and his so-called system and concepts. So I want to say, all in all this season, he's been a plus.
Yeah, I've always felt like he's just not good enough. Whatever he is, he's not good enough to win a Super Bowl. And I kind of wrote off the Niners as soon as he became the starter. And I'm not saying I'm picking him to win the Super Bowl, but just stepping back and looking at Jimmy's season right now, I mean, he's 7th in quarterback rating. And I'm not saying he's improved. He has not improved as a quarterback. We've seen him, but he has better weapons around him. He has Christian McCaffrey now. He has Brandon Ayuk's improving. The situation around him on offense is improving, and he benefits from that. And if he can maintain this level of production, the one thing he has improved on is the interceptions. He only has 4 so far this season. If he can keep that up, I think it's fair to say that he's not going to be the limiting factor. I mean, he is a limiting factor, but he's not going to be so limited that they can't win a Super Bowl. It seems like he's playing at a good enough level right now.
I agree.
Now, I mean, they just got smashed by the Chiefs. I'm not saying they can beat the Chiefs, but if the defense can come back and they can get healthy, I just don't think that you can write them off because Jimmy Garoppolo is the quarterback anymore.
Also, Jimmy specifically needs help on the right side of the offensive line.
That is true. It's not like Jimmy's the weak link on the team. It's McGlinchey.
No, he's not the weak link, and he is under pressure more than he should be. So he's fighting against Kyle's limitations.
That's the thing.
And please see the Warner video. And he's fighting against McGlinchey's limitations, which are legion. So when he has a bad play, he didn't do well. But there's a lot else. There's a lot of responsibility to go around. That's not only him. So I want to say, Iggy, I think you and I are giving him a bit of a thumbs up today.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying they should give him an extension. I'm not saying he's going to be in the Pro Bowl this year. But it does look like with Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, and Christian McCaffrey, he can perform more than well enough for this team to go deep in the playoffs. And if Kyle Shanahan can be the coach that he's supposed to be and be a genius, I think he's got more than enough. He doesn't have the greatest quarterback in the world, but he's got a quarterback who's experienced, knows his system, and has a lot of complementary weapons around him. So I think it's on Kyle. To me, he's been the weakest link in this offense so far, but he's got a whole second half of the season to come to the party.
Iggy, I have a little exercise we can do. The 4 starting quarterbacks in the NFC West, let's rate them bottom to top. Who's the worst? I know who I think. May I say?
Go ahead. You're going to say Kyler.
Currently, I'm going to put Matthew Stafford at the bottom.
Stafford.
You don't like that?
It's hard to say because Stafford has no offensive line, no running game, and no deep threats. You know what I'm saying? Like, Jimmy's got everything around him right now except for a right tackle and a coach.
Okay, let me say this.
Fair enough.
I understand the excuses that Stafford has, but given his reality, he's not performing all that well.
Let me ask you another. Let me put it another way. Put it another way. Who would you rather have as the Niners quarterback, Jimmy or Matthew Stafford?
Okay, I understand.
See what I'm saying?
Now, no, wait. I would rather have Jimmy.
Why?
Okay, I'm not sure Stafford's arm is okay.
Fair.
Plus, Stafford under pressure loses his cool, just like Jared Goff did.
Just like, yeah, it's true. I was going to say just like Jimmy, but even worse. And when he throws the pick, it's often returned for a touchdown. I think he's thrown like 30 pick sixes in his career, which is just amazing.
So,
okay.
Super Bowl champion. I put him number 4.
Okay, who would you put 3?
That's okay. This may piss you off. I'm going to put the guy in Arizona, Kyler Murray.
Kyler, okay.
I would, and I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
When he operates at the top of his game, he's phenomenal.
Yeah,
Two things about him. He strikes me as up and down and sometimes does awful things, and he can't see over the line of scrimmage. So
he's not having a good year either. He's not.
No.
That being said, he's better when he has DeAndre Hopkins, who just came back a couple of – but look, it's hard to disagree. I mean, the whole thing about him not doing his homework, are you kidding me? That's not good. And no one's ever said that about Jimmy, you know?
Jimmy works his tush off. And what's more, his players like him. So you know what, Iggy? I'm putting him reluctantly at number 2 because I don't quite believe in Geno Smith, but I got to give Geno his props. So
I got to give Geno's props too. Geno's number 1 right now.
And I got to give Pete Carroll, who I thought the league had passed him by, I got to give him his props. So I'm saying right now, Jimmy is the second best quarterback in the NFC West. And for some miracle, Geno Smith is currently functioning the best. Now, people will say, how could you say that, Stafford? But I'm saying how they're functioning today.
That's fair. I just want to say that I'm a little hesitant to give Jimmy that much credit because I know he just beat the Rams, and it's great, and we're being generous because they're coming off a win, but it's the Rams, and he's done it a lot of times, and he did lose to the Falcons and the Broncos, which were rough. So we'll see a little bit more. I don't want to get head over heels, but it's fair to point out that Kyler and Stafford are having really bad years. Really bad years. Statistically way worse than Jimmy Garoppolo.
And I think it's fair to point out, Grant, that we are not haters.
We're not haters. In fact, we're big Jimmy Garoppolo fans. The only reason that we're giving Jimmy this much credit is because he shouted me out in the press conference and said my name in the locker room last week. So now I'm officially just a big Jimmy Garoppolo fan. I'm getting his jersey.
Now, look, I want to say something. If I were covering the team, and this is a total hypothetical, of course, what I used to do, I would get to know certain players, and I would write profiles of them. Mm-hmm. So who would I like to write about on this team? Jimmy Ward would be number 1.
Yeah.
I mean, he's irresistible. Mm-hmm. I would like to talk to Jimmy Garoppolo, and I think I could get something out of him. I think there's a Jimmy in there, aside from the smile and the bland answers.
Actually, hold on. You said bland answers. Not recently. That's like 20s Jimmy. 30s Jimmy gives great answers. Great answers. Yeah. I think it actually might be easy, that interview. Might be fun. He has a lot to say.
Other ones I'd like to talk to. I would love to talk to Ken Law.
Who?
Ken Law.
Oh, yeah.
I would love to get to know him.
Yeah.
I think there's a real person in Ken Law. And that could come out. People that would not interest me.
Real quick before we move on from Kinlaw, one of the things I like about him, he's so authentic. Everything is right on his sleeve, there. I love that. Him. As opposed to some people, you're like, is what you're projecting really you? You know what I'm talking about with some athletes? That's not Javon Kinlaw. I like a guy like that.
People who wouldn't particularly interest me, Armstead.
For the reason I just said.
Exactly.
For the reason I just said.
He's pre-programmed from
Right.
what I can tell.
Right.
And also the right tackle, pre-programmed.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I feel. Anyway,
Yeah.
those are 5 guys off the top of my head.
Yeah, because you know if you get the pre-programmed guy, you can't get him off their script. You cannot.
No. Now, I was doing something yesterday for a class at Morehouse College, journalism class, with my friend Ron Thomas, who used to be at the Chronicle.
I'm doing something for that class next month. Shout out Morehouse.
It's wonderful.
Yep.
Anyway, Ron reminded me, and Iggy, I forgot this, when Joe Montana was playing, and he was so great. It was after a game. No, it was Friday. Ron said the quarterbacks used to talk on Friday, not Wednesday. So we had Joe on Friday, and Joe was giving the most bland answers. So I remember this. Ron said, I stopped the news conference and said, Joe, you can do better than that.
You did that?
That's what Ron said I did.
Wow,
and
I believe it.
Responded and did.
I believe it.
When they give those answers, you can't allow it.
No.
You have to call them out politely on it.
Joe Montana spoke before the game against the Chiefs a couple weeks ago, and we didn't know he was coming. They just brought him in, and we weren't prepared, but I was listening to his answers. I put it on my YouTube. Those were the blandest answers I've ever heard of all time. And I was thinking, man, this guy has no real social confidence. Like his voice is getting quieter and quieter by the moment. It's like he was shrinking. It was so strange to see the greatest quarterback of all time really kind of just sit there like,
yeah,
hey,
I know.
Guys, how's it go? Like Steve Young has this whole thing. Joe doesn't have it. It's crazy.
No, Joe had it on the field.
Right. Yeah, that's amazing.
Switch. On the field, he turned the switch on. Off, he turned it off. But Joe, if you see this, I don't want you to think I'm putting you down. I think Joe has a lovely personality. I think there's a lot more depth than you can just get in casual conversation. And I think I think Joe is shy.
That's what I was going to say. He comes across as shy. I wasn't trying to put him down. He just comes across as shockingly shy for the greatest quarterback of all time.
Yes, and I think it's charming.
Yeah, it is. It is.
It's charming. When
Absolutely.
I see Joe, now he'll never use my name. He never says hello, Lowell, but he'll say hello. And when I see Joe, I'm always happy to see him.
Because there aren't that many quarterbacks who you would call shy. Jimmy isn't shy. Trey isn't shy. Steve wasn't shy. Colin wasn't shy. Alex wasn't shy. They're all very like...
Alex was like a corporate executive.
Not shy. Very polished. I mean, Joe is like, oh, shucks, how did I end up here, man? I could have been doing nothing or playing baseball or... Right. Whoa, yeah. It's very, very interesting.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, we'll take a couple questions and get down to the schedule. Josh says, do you think there are any more moves the Niners have left before the deadline is over? It's over, baby. It's over, baby. It was over 27 minutes ago. So, no. Sorry. Biggest strength, things work out for handsome people. Yeah, I mean, look at my life. Look at my dad. Me and him.
I'm an ugly old guy. Hey, Iggy, before we move on, didn't someone write you an email that you could take this to the bank, that they were going to trade Jimmy after the Rams game?
So funny. So I was getting DMs all week that the Niners were going to trade Jimmy Garoppolo and trade for Tom Brady. And I kept DMing back because I wanted more information. It was so funny. And then the night before the game, he was like, all right, take it to the bank. I need you to tweet this right now. The Niners are trading Tom Brady to the Bucs for a third-round pick and offloading Jimmy Garoppolo to the Patriots for an undisclosed draft pick. He said, I want you to understand, this is supposed to be Adam Schefter's scoop, but I'm giving it to you because this is the final middle finger I'm giving to the 49ers. And he said, you make sure you tweet that this is no joke. And I was like, okay, yeah. So that guy was trying to ruin my career. I thought it was pretty funny, though, that he took it that far.
You should DM that schmuck and tell him, thanks for this brilliant tip.
Hold on, let me do it real quick. I'll do it right now on the show.
And I'm calling him a schmuck. And if you don't know what a schmuck is, look it up. It'll be in the
thanks for the scoop.
You putz.
This guy, he says, all right, here it is. Biggest trade of the NFL season. One of the most interesting in history. Details. Niners are trading a 2023 third-round pick in exchange for Tom Brady, who has requested a trade from the Buccaneers. He will finish his career with the 49ers pending a successful physical. Before you tweet, know that this is supposed to be Adam Schefter's scoop tomorrow after the Rams game. I want you to tweet it today as soon as possible to avoid any leaks beforehand. Not everyone in the organization knows about this yet. Brady will restructure his deal in order to make the cap work. Jimmy Garoppolo will be moved to New England for undisclosed draft capital, gets a fresh start finally. Make sure you say in your tweet, this is not a joke. My final middle fingers to the Niners. They will be in chaos tonight. Cheers, Grant. It was great working with you. Hope you have an illustrious career and wishing you the best moving forward. That was so funny, man. Good effort. Nice try. A+.
Whoever that is hates your guts and wants to.
Oh, yeah. They really thought they had me on that one. Niners won the trade. Jeff was injured every year. Well, we'll see.
And look how CMC was injured. And Elijah Mitchell. What are you talking about?
And Niner fans were pissed that Jeff Wilson Jr. fumbled. Well, what did Christian McCaffrey do last week?
Yeah.
Fumbled. I could listen to Papa Cohn say schmuck all day. Oh, I grew up listening to Papa Cohn say schmuck all day.
But I never called you a schmuck.
Never. That was the rule in the house. You could curse, but not at each other. Ever.
There was a lot of cursing.
There was a lot of cursing in the house. Flav says Jimmy Garoppolo throws some big-time throws. Not just not consistently enforces it. CMC might help with that, though, but believing in Jimmy and thinking we have a shot beats the alternative of just expecting us to lose. I agree. And I'm trying to say, let's not give Kyle Shanahan any excuses. Don't say, oh, but they're injured, or oh, but Jimmy Garoppolo's their quarterback. Nope. Jimmy Garoppolo's good enough. He's got weapons that suit his skill set. It's on Kyle. Whether they win a Super Bowl or not this year is on one person, and it's the head coach.
But isn't Flav the big Jimmy?
Big Jimmy guy.
Hi, Flav. But what I want to know is, do you pronounce your name Flav or Flave? No, if it's like Spanish or Italian.
I think it's Flave. I think we're going with Flave from now on. Brandon Harrison says. I'm pretty sure it's Flave. I think you're right. We're going to go with Flave. Brandon Harrison says they can't claim to be all in this year trading picks for CMC, then give up a key player for picks. All in, why get picks then? I agree with this. You're all in, and now you're selling for the future? Why? That doesn't make any sense. Just to be nice.
But they're nice.
I agree. Just to be nice. I'm with you, Brandon. It doesn't make sense. It almost feels like the front office let Kyle Shanahan trade for Christian McCaffrey, and they were like, okay, now can we do a move we want to do? Can we recoup some of these picks? Because that trade was insane, but it's what you wanted. And Kyle's like, yeah, sure, I don't care. I don't want Jeff Wilson Jr. Kind of like that. Sorry.
Hold on. The other one I would like to interview would not be John Lynch, because he's pretty slick. Although in college, when I interviewed him, he was great. I'd like to interview Kyle.
Yeah, he's not slick.
I think there's a whole other personality. I don't really think. I guarantee there's a whole other personality we're not seeing. And I think he'd be a blast.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think he's just waiting for a really good interviewer. And you're that guy. And you probably will never interview him, which is too bad. The world is missing that.
I want everybody also to know that last weekend when Iggy went down to cover the Rams game, he went down with his wife, Swasti, and me. I went to L.A. with them. We went on Friday. And I don't know L.A. To me, it's another state. I live in Northern California. So Friday night, Iggy, what town did we go to? Manhattan Beach?
Marina Del Rey, because we were staying over close to there.
Marina Del Rey, to a great Italian restaurant. And then on the day, Saturday, we went to Venice for lunch. Mm-hmm. And boy, the people walking up in that, what's the name of that boulevard? Abbott Kinney. Oh my God, it was unbelievable. It was like a runway.
It was like a runway, right? Everyone just looking.
People were dressed and they were on their
it's amazing.
And they had these clothes on.
With the dogs.
And some of them were carrying the dogs. I'd never seen anything like that. It didn't happen in Oakland or Berkeley like that.
So we were walking down Abbott Kinney. All of a sudden, my dad takes out his phone. He's like, "Oh yeah, is that just New York? What's going on?" It was so funny.
Be like other people. I was just
hella funny.
Phone. Yeah. And then Saturday night, we saw my niece who lives. What's the name of the place where she lives, Iggy?
Beechwood Canyon,
near Hollywood.
Near Hollywood, yes.
And then we had dinner at Musso and Frank's, which we had a blast. If you haven't been to that restaurant, there are certain restaurants that Iggy and I like to go to around the country, like Commander's Palace in New Orleans. Musso and Frank's is at that level.
Yes.
What a place.
Absolutely.
So then, but I didn't stay for the game because I'm not credentialed. And plus, I never want to go to any games in any sport again. Believe me, I did it enough. So I got up really early and flew home and watched the game on television. So I wanted to say I had the most wonderful weekend in LA with the two UCLA kids.
Yeah, that being said, we took Ubers around. And my dad hadn't really experienced LA traffic. So we went from LAX to Beechwood Canyon. Saturday night. And I didn't prepare my dad that there's traffic all the time. It took an hour to go about 10 miles. And when we got out of the Uber, my dad just shook his head and said, this is no way to live. This is no way to live. I was like, yeah, man, that's LA. LA is really tough. And you basically have to pick a neighborhood that you think is the greatest neighborhood in the world and never leave it. And the people that like LA feel like they live in the greatest neighborhood of the world. I like my neighborhood in Oakland.
I would have to say my niece.
It's really nice. It's so nice.
So nice.
If I could live in Beechwood Canyon, I might too. I have to say that shit is hella nice.
But Iggy, it's like you can never leave.
No, you can't.
And then we went to Musso and Frank's, and it's on Hollywood Boulevard. Is that it?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It was a zoo.
It was like Times Square.
Times Square or the Vegas Strip.
Yes, absolutely. Yep. Clayton said, "Oh, I want to say one more thing. It's my dad's birthday today."
Oy.
It's my dad's birthday today. He's 77. Doesn't he look great? Doesn't he look great?
I'm 77, and I would like to add, it's a very happy day because the family's going out tonight. But it's my first birthday in more than 40 years without my wife, and I'm feeling emotional today. I don't want to start crying here, but yes, I am 77 today.
Happy birthday, Dad.
Thanks, sweetheart.
Clayton says, met McFlinchy in the lobby at the hotel, or was at the revolving door? Gravitron says, time for Mason, baby. We know the rest of the backs can't stay healthy. I love that we've had 10 comments about Jordan Mason today. Jordan Mason has to be the most popular undrafted rookie in the league. Gotta love that guy. I gotta go up to him in the locker room and be like, do you understand that you are the biggest, like, fans freaking love you? And do you know this? Jeff Wilson was traded for a 5th round pick, shaking my head. Yeah, I know. Mark says, can we look at the Wilson trade that the Niners developed an undrafted free agent into a pick? Niners still in it without him. Yeah, that would be the upside. They took a guy that they got for nothing and got something for him.
They're not looking at it that way. They have shown no respect to that kid.
Yeah, that Kurt Warner assessment of Jimmy G's performance really resonated with me. I have a whole new perspective of Jimmy G's performance. Yes, what Kurt Warner was saying was, yes, Jimmy Garoppolo should take sacks instead of throwing picks sometimes, but the Niners really should give him better options than interception or sack. Like, there should be an outlet here. There's a thing called a hot route that they're not building in any of their plays. Like, that was really interesting.
I have to say again, for football fans, this 30-minute video that Kurt Warner did devoted to the 49ers is the most brilliant football video I've ever seen. I had no idea that Kurt Warner, I want to say, he's a football genius. And boy, could he explain things. He's wonderful.
You will learn more about offense and defense in those 30 minutes than you will have learned in any 30-minute football video you've ever seen. It's great. I wish he would do it more often.
Yes.
Black Orchid says, laughing at Flave Nurchuk. Flave. Grant, when you see your dad, hug him for me, please. I will. Tonight. Flave was just too funny. Fish R Relaxing says, Wilson requested the trade after CMC. He would be third again. Kyle did him solid, sending McDaniels, who knows him. I told you they were going to say that they did him a solid. They're doing him a favor. He requested the trade.
Baloney.
They're just so nice, Dad. They're the nicest team in the league. Dark Halo says, happy birthday, Lowell.
Thank you so much.
Flave says, Flave is an abbreviation of my last name. Can't share it because 80% of people in here hate me for supporting Jimmy Jesus. He called him Jimmy Jesus. Oh, my God.
Okay, Flave. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Flave. They will apologize soon, though. He goes to the church of Jimmy. He's worships at the church of James Richard Garoppolo. Vance says, happy birthday. Love you guys. Bond, God bless you. Thank you, Vance.
Thank you.
Black Orchid says, happy birthday, Papa Cohn. Heart hugs for your first year without your wife.
Oh, thank you so much.
Okay. All right. This is the last topic of the day. How many more games will the 49ers win? They're 4-4. It's the bye week. They have a week to figure out what was going wrong, what's working well, and to get people healthy. And to play 9 more games. Do you want to go through the schedule one by one?
Well, let's say this. This, because it's a bye week, and essentially half the season is over. There are 9 games to go, but almost half the season is over. It's not time to look back now. It's time to look forward. We're taking a deep breath. So what Iggy and I want to do is look at the upcoming 9 games and call it a win or a loss. And, of course, we don't know who's going to get hurt. We could be wrong. We would have said they would have beat Atlanta. So, but Iggy, I want this to be your topic. Let's go game by game, and I'll say if I agree or disagree, but you're better on a topic like this than I am.
Okay. And I mean, doing the best I can. You don't know who's going to be healthy or not, but as of today, the Niners got a bye week, and then week 10 at home, Sunday night game against the Chargers. who are 4-3. They have a really good quarterback, but looking at their losses, just a couple of weeks ago, they lost to the Seahawks by 2 touchdowns, and the Niners beat the Seahawks. So if the Seahawks can wipe the floor with the Chargers, I'm thinking the Niners can too, especially coming off a bye week. I'm saying win.
I'm saying win. I agree with you. I'm going to be writing this down to keep track of what we say. Okay.
Yeah. I got to fix that. I promise I'm getting my dad a microphone and fixing that noise by the time the next show happens. I promise.
Noise means, but okay.
I can fix it. Fix it. All right, next game. Following that, they go to Mexico. This is one of those games where they're going to be going to Colorado for the week so they can get adjusted to the elevation. Then they face the Cardinals in Mexico. They lost to the Cardinals twice last year. The Cardinals have always played the Niners. Well, they've played the Niners tough for the last 3 years since they've gotten Kyler Murray. That being said, the Niners are 3-0 in the division. That being said, I'm thinking they're going to be coming off 2 wins in a row, and I just feel like they're going to lose this game to the Cardinals, although they certainly could win it. I'm thinking they're going to lose this one.
Okay. I'm going to keep your score, not mine.
Okay.
I think they're going to win that game.
Fair enough. They certainly could. I think it's going to be a close one.
I'm going to keep your score, Iggy.
Okay.
You're official and I'm not. So we got them 1-1. You got them 1-1 so far.
1-1 so far. Following that's a Monday night game. So now they got on a short week, they come home and play the New Orleans Saints. They've got a good defense, but they are 3-5, and I don't believe in them. Their quarterback is Andy Dalton. They won last week. I don't like them. I think the Niners are going to win this game.
I agree.
The one thing that gives me pause is that the Niners are 1-4 outside of their division. So let's just talk about that for a second. They've lost to some bad teams outside of the division. The only team they've beaten outside of their division is Carolina, who fired their coach the next week. So maybe that's just the next day. So maybe that's just one of those things, and it's not who the Niners are, and they'll even out and beat some good teams outside of their division. Or maybe the Niners have a big problem, and they're always going to be unprepared against teams they don't know well because their coaches are all new, so we'll have to find out. Right. If that's a real issue, they're going to lose this game to the Saints. But I'm saying it's not a real issue, and they're going to beat the Saints.
What I would add is we're doing this, but at this moment, after almost half the season is gone, we don't know who the 49ers are. Are they the team that ruined the Rams, or are they the team that lost to Chicago or that lost to Atlanta? So in a way, we're doing this in the dark, but in a way, that's the fun of it. So let's move
absolutely.
on.
Yeah. Okay. Next game, they got, hold on. Okay, here we go. Week 13, at home again, this time against the Miami Dolphins, who are 5-3, and they just added Jeff Wilson Jr. This is another winnable game for the 49ers, but I think this is one of the more difficult out-of-division games they got left on their schedule. I'm picking Miami.
I agree with you on that. So you have them, mine doesn't.
2-2.
But you have them 2-2.
2-2. Okay, the next game after that, Tampa Bay, again at home, December 11th, week 14. Tampa looks freaking awful this year. Like, they look as dysfunctional as the Rams. They do have Tom Brady. Maybe they'll figure it out in the next month, but he's having a bad year too. I'm picking the Niners.
I agree. And I would even point out that the 2 teams that played in the Super Bowl earlier this year suck.
Bengals. Yep. That's the thing. Like, real quick before we move on, we're really tough on the Niners, and we've made it real clear they're not a great team. They have flaws. Man, there's so many bad teams in the league right now. It's bad, mediocre, a couple good, and a couple really good, and that's it. And it's like, well, any week the Niners have a chance because they're probably facing a bad or mediocre team.
That's right.
Yeah. Moving on. Week 15 in Seattle. I don't think the Seattle Seahawks are better than the Niners. The Niners have beaten them already, but they're actually a surprisingly good team. They're 5-3, and they're a better coached team than the 49ers. And they're going to be in Seattle. That's a tough place for the Niners to play. I'm picking Seattle.
I agree with you on that. So now we have them 3-3. I want to give props to Pete Carroll. He's really done well. And the Niners often do not play well in Seattle because it's rainy and overcast, and they don't like it.
That's right. That according to Ahmad Brooks.
Yeah.
So look, I could be wrong, but I have them at 7-7 heading into Christmas.
Right. You have
Yeah.
after the bye so far they're 3 wins, 3 losses.
So they need to finish strong here to make it to win the division. Let's see if they do. Christmas Eve, Saturday night game, back at home against the Washington Commanders. They're 4-4. They're currently starting Taylor Heineke, who seems to be an upgrade over Carson Wentz. I'm picking the Niners. I don't think much of Washington.
Yeah. I just do want to say one of my all-time favorites is Ron Rivera. I just love Ron Rivera, and I wish him all the best.
You covered him when he was a player at Cal.
He was wonderful.
Yeah.
He and John Lynch, of college players that I covered, at the time I covered them, were the most sophisticated, mature, and you knew that they were going to be big deals in football.
Got it. Okay, so we got 2 games left. I got them at 4-3 after the bye. Week 17, this is January 1st on the road against the Las Vegas Raiders, who just got shut out by, who was it that they got shut out? New Orleans, the freaking New Orleans Saints, who I think the Niners are going to beat. So I'm picking the Niners to beat the Raiders because their coach is, we say that Kyle Shanahan, he's a little bit of a fraud or not a head coach. You want to talk about a fraud, Josh McDaniels. Whoa, that guy's terrible.
And
terrible.
Another Belichick flop.
Another Belichick flop. And we knew this about him. He already flopped once. Now he gets an opportunity to flop again, and flopping he indeed is doing.
Iggy.
Okay, last topic.
He's doing the flopperoo.
He's doing the triple Indy.
So, last game.
Okay, last game at home against the Cardinals. I had the Cardinals beating him the first time. I don't think the Cardinals are going to beat him twice. If anyone's going to sweep this matchup, it's going to be the Niners. So I picked the Cardinals to win one. I'm picking the Niners to win the final one when they need it, and I'm picking them to win the final 3 games of the season and win the division, 10-7. And let's see. I don't know what Seattle's going to do. Maybe Seattle gets 11 wins, but I'm saying 10-7 for the Niners.
I have that here, and you have them after the bye at 6-3, meaning a team that's really coming on.
It sounded like you had them at 7-2. You think they're going to beat Arizona twice, which I can't really bicker with.
Yeah, but Iggy, forget me. There are things
they went 7-2 down the stretch last year. They've done this before.
So we're saying Iggy says 6-3. I say 7-2. It's pretty close, but the point is we're both sanguine. Sanguine means optimistic. Why does sanguine mean optimistic? Because it comes from a Latin verb. You can hear it in Spanish, sangre, not verb, noun, which means blood. Mm-hmm. It means sanguine is blood in the body, blood in the face, up for things, optimistic. So we're sanguine about the 49ers.
Lively,
full of life.
Lively. Yeah. Now, so again, what I want to say, we've praised Jimmy Garoppolo. We've praised his team. They started off 4-4. They're 1-4 outside of the division. They don't have any impressive wins so far this year. They could totally fall apart. Neither of us expect them to.
That's
we don't.
Right. We're optimistic. And you know what, Jimmy, we want you to know that. Kittle, we want you to know that. Kyle and John, we want you to know that. And now it's your time to come through and prove us right.
Yep. I mean, the injury issue is going away. You got a bye week at the right time. Players are coming back. The quarterback, although he's not Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes, he's 7th in the league in passer rating. And you got all these weapons that specifically suit his skill set. Right. No excuses win the Super Bowl. No excuses win the Super Bowl. Make it happen.
Do it.
Do it. Ismail says, I feel like people giving Jimmy too much credit. He could have easily been picked twice. If only Ramsey caught them, would have been a different story. That's fair. That's fair.
Hater.
That's fair. You're a hater. You're a hater, man. It's fair.
We're joking.
I do feel a little icky over praising him after beating the Rams because, I mean, he's done it so many times. You predicted it. Let's see him beat the Chargers as we expect him to.
Hold on. Is Iggy feeling icky?
I'm feeling a little icky.
Okay.
Iggy's feeling a little icky. Mike Baker says Debo is not as explosive as he was. Wilson was a good guy to have around to rotate downs and let others rest. Yeah, that's one underrated story with the Niners this year is Debo's having not a good year. He's just not. The running back thing is gone. He's dropping a lot of passes. He's not getting down the field. He's hurt. And when he's targeted, the Niners quarterback rating is 70, which means him and the quarterback are not on the same page. Interceptions are happening. So good thing they got McCaffrey because they can't lean on Debo the way they used to.
I got something else to say. I believe this is a phenomenon in professional sports. Once you get your deal, you no longer have the hunger.
You can't say that for every player, but for a lot of them, it's human nature. Some guys are just, I don't think that would have been true for Jerry Rice. He held himself to a standard that was beyond money.
I agree.
But there's very few people who are like that.
Iggy, but you do see it happen.
Oh, all the time. All of a sudden, a guy's a little slower. Not quite as quick. It's like, you got slower overnight? What happened? Oh, you just got more money in your pocket. It's heavy. Lucky Louise says Grant Remilia Sports is punching the air again. Why? Why? The Remilia Sports Report is punching the air again. Why? What happened? Because the Niners got a 5th-round pick? Donald Pulliam, your new member, thank you. Darian Diaz highlights says you and your pops are the best show on YouTube when it comes to the Niners. Keep giving them heat, Grant. They clearly watch. Happy B-Day, OG. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
When we were on Hollywood Boulevard, I got stopped twice. It was nice. One guy said, hey, it's Grant. It's your dad, too.
It's true. We're walking on Hollywood Boulevard, and 2 people came. And also on the way down in the airport, some guy came over. And we were talking, and he just waited. He was very nice till we had a pause in our conversation and just said, Diggy, Grant, I'm so excited to meet you. And I used to be famous as Lowell Cohn. Forget that. I'm famous now as Grant's dad.
It happened to me on the plane ride back, too. I got off of the jetway, and the guy waiting there just said, hey, Grant, I had a feeling you were going to be on this flight. I was like, hey, man. He was probably 22. When I get stopped, when people talk to me in like a hushed tone with like a reverence, it's usually like a 22-year-old, someone kind of young, and they're like, oh, my God, Grant, I love your work. It is so sincere. And I don't know if you remember the movie Fight Club, but it's the way strangers used to stop Brad Pitt in that movie. Oh, my God, Tyler Durden, I'm in Fight Club. I love your work. It's like, thanks, man. I really appreciate it, dude. It's really nice. I get treated like I'm Tyler Durden out here in these streets. Carol says, happy birthday, Lowell. Loved reading your columns for decades.
Thank you.
Frank G says, happy birthday, Papa Cohn. Blessings of strength on this bittersweet day.
Thank you so much.
Flave changed his name to Flave. Love the new name. Thanks, Lowell. Happy birthday, my guy.
Thank you so much, Flave. I love you.
He's a good sport. He really is. And his biggest sin is liking the 49ers quarterback a lot. So, I mean, you can't really hold it against him. Greg says, you both are the most negative mouths out there. Thanks, Greg.
Yeah, thanks. I really appreciate it. We're haters.
Haters. Horrible trade, Grant. Why did we get rid of Jeff? Because the Niners are haters. They hated on Jeff Wilson. Oh, it's too bad. You know what I didn't like about them? You'd always ask questions about Jeff Wilson. The coaches always be like, I love Jeff. He's one of my favorite players, and I just love Jeff. It's like, that is so condescending. I'm sure he's not the running back we want, but he got a great smile. He's so optimistic. When we benched him, he didn't take it personally.
So Kyle says stuff like that about Jeff?
Chris Forrester, the offensive line coach / run game coordinator. He's my son's favorite player on the team.
So Iggy, what does it tell you? You can't believe it.
Absolutely not. Donald says, Grant, do you think the Niners could sign a corner before the deadline? And happy birthday, Lowell. Yeah, if they want Richard Sherman or Josh Norman. Hard to get cornerbacks off the street at this point. What?
I thought the deadline's over.
Yeah, you could sign people, though, who are retired, essentially. They could get Richard Sherman.
Did I ever tell you this story, Iggy? And I'm not going to say who. When I was at the Chronicle, and Ira Miller, my dear friend, covered the 49ers, and he's the best ever. There was an article in the Chronicle saying that the Niners were going to trade Joe Montana. And Ira called me up and he said, did you see the article in our paper this morning? I said, yeah, they're going to trade Joe. He said, I don't think so, Lowell. The trading deadline is over. And no one had checked with Ira. And the Chronicle ran an article saying they were going to trade Joe, but the trade deadline was over. That was a weak moment in journalism.
You could have played it off as like an April Fool's joke, but it probably wasn't April Fool's.
Right.
Dang.
I think Ira got a kick out of it.
I met you and your wife in Atlanta. Happy birthday, Lowell. I remember you, Oscar. Nice to see you again.
Hi, Oscar.
Jack Jackson says, do you think Shanahan will spread the carries with Mason and Davis? Probably no. I'm concerned about CMC injuries. If Shanahan overuses them, can you send a message to Shanahan, use all your weapons? He always does the opposite of what I suggest, unfortunately.
Yeah. Although to my birthday dinner tonight, I won't tell you where we're going, but Shanahan's coming with a bottle of champagne because he gets so much out of Iggy's quality control. So he's coming, and he's going to bring a special guest.
That's right. Alberto says, what's your take on your trip to Mexico? Are you excited? I'm extremely excited. I'm so excited. I'm bringing my wife, and I'm considering skipping that whole practice session in Colorado Springs and just going straight to Mexico City. Frankly, I don't know why the Niners aren't doing that. What do you need to do to go to Colorado Springs for? Haven't decided, but yes, I'm extremely excited. That's the show. That's the whole show and nothing but the show. Stop donating. Stop giving me money. This was a lot of fun. I'm sorry that Jeff Wilson Jr. isn't on the team anymore, but if he's watching, oh, you guys broke the rules. It's over. Josh Wyatt says, did CMC do anything this week that Debo hasn't done repeatedly? If Debo was playing like a $28 million weapon this year, would the Niners be 4-4? It's a good point. I think part of the reason that Christian McCaffrey's on the team is that Debo hasn't been that. And so now they have someone who can do that stuff. Good point.
I want to say I really enjoyed this show today, Iggy. Oh, you still getting more of this?
Last one. CMC, E. Mitchell, Jordan Mason, TDP. Oh, my God. Whatever will the Niners do? Okay. Well, he's feeling confident about the Niners' depth at running back. Good, Dad. I've enjoyed this birthday version of the Cohn Zone very much.
I love you, Iggy, and I'm looking forward to seeing you tonight. I know, listen, you have Larry Kruger in 5 minutes, but may I call you real quick because I want to talk about one line of prose.
Absolutely. See you guys in 5 minutes. Love you, Dad.
Love you, sweetie. Bye.